Chapter 2604. Once the sovereign power was converted into divine power, it would be the sovereign divine power. This was a divine power. Even in the vast chaotic universe, it was a rare divine power. It had never appeared in the chaotic galaxy before. Now, there was actually someone who could control the sovereign power. No wonder it's so terrifying. He can actually defeat an empty god realm martial artist as a transformation void martial artist. This is too shocking. The sovereign power. Which superpower is he from? It's a pity that his cultivation is too low. Otherwise, it would be terrifying. Many people looked at Lu Ming, their eyes filled with shock. I was still recognized. Lu Ming himself was speechless. When he fought just now, he had already done some tricks to hide it. However, he was still recognized as the sovereign power. The main reason was that once the sovereign power was used, its characteristics were too obvious. It was easy to be recognized. It seems like I still have to find a way to hide the characteristics of the sovereign power. Otherwise, I will be recognized the moment I fight. It will be too eye-catching. Lu Ming thought to himself. Before he was strong enough, it was not a good thing to attract too much attention. Sometimes, it might even lead to a fatal disaster. Senior, I won. Lu Ming walked towards the silver-haired old man. Little brother, you are really a rare talent. If there's a chance, I will treat you to a drink. The silver-haired old man smiled and took out 2 storage rings and passed them to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took them and smiled. I still have things to do now. If there's a chance in the future, I will treat you to a drink. After exchanging some pleasantries, Lu Ming and Tong Xia left the place together. Lu Ming, I will definitely take revenge. Below the fighting ring, Sichu Xiao struggled to get up. He looked in the direction that Lu Ming had left. His face was pale and filled with resentment. Lu Ming and Tong Xia did not stop. They went to the transportation array of Cloud Peak City and headed towards Upright Star. After a few days, Lu Ming returned to Upright Star. This time, he had won 20,000 divine gems from Sichu Xiao. Lu Ming was in a good mood. This trip to Cloud Peak City was not in vain. Lu Ming now had 38,000 divine crystals, which was a few thousand more than he had before. After returning to his residence, Lu Ming took out a pile of divine tool fragments for Qiuqiu to eat. Qiuqiu was immediately excited. It hugged a large pile of divine artifact fragments and munched happily. At this time, Lu Ming looked in a certain direction. There was a powerful aura coming from that direction. A huge tortoise appeared in the air, surrounded by countless runes. Dandan. With that, Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared on top of a mansion in the city. This mansion used to be Dandan's residence. Dandan was trying to break through to the martial god realm. It had been cultivating in seclusion since it came to the primitive universe. Now, it was finally beginning to break through. Big brother Lu Ming. A figure flashed and Bubble appeared beside Lu Ming. It grabbed Lu Ming's hand and shook it with all its might. After not seeing it for a while, Bubble's cultivation had improved a lot. It had already reached the peak of the Heavenly Emperor realm. Needless to say, Bubble's talent was definitely top-notch. Furthermore, the cultivation environment in the primitive universe was too good. In addition, Lu Ming had given some resources to it. It was normal for its cultivation level to improve by leaps and bounds. However, after so many years, Bubble still looked like a 6 or 7-year-old. Its growth speed was shockingly slow. Whoosh, whoosh. Figures appeared nearby. They were all attracted by Dandan's breakthrough. This old tortoise actually broke through faster than us. The Titan Longhorn Beetle sighed. Qing Kang, 9 Lives Demon Silkworm, and the others also sighed. They had broken through to the demigod realm around the same time as Dandan. However, they were still some distance away from the martial god realm. On the other hand, Dandan had already broken through. Boom. In Dandan's mansion, the aura was even stronger. A huge tortoise figure was suspended in the air. Between heaven and earth, endless energy gathered towards Dandan. This guy's breakthrough is really big. Lu Ming's eyes moved. Although the commotion caused by Dandan's breakthrough wasn't as great as Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's, it was much greater than other breakthroughs. The world turtle originally came from the primitive universe. It is indeed extraordinary. At this moment, ancestral dragon also appeared not far away. The world turtle came from the primitive universe. Lu Ming was puzzled. Titan Longhorn, 9 Lives Demon Silkworm, Qing Kang, and the others also looked at ancestral dragon curiously. They did not know about this. That's right. Ancestral dragon nodded and said, back then, most of the top 10 battle beasts in the heaven realm were mutations of various divine beast races. They had unique talents, but there were also a few that came from the primitive universe. The world turtle was one of them. The other one is this little guy. Ancestral dragon then looked at Bubbles. Bubbles also came from the primitive universe. Lu Ming muttered. In addition to these two, the Holy Spirit and also came from the primitive universe. Unfortunately, it fell in the ancient war. Ancestral dragon sighed. At this moment, Dandan's aura was even more shocking. It was like a black hole, absorbing the divine chi from the outside. The divine chi is not enough. Go. Lu Ming immediately realized that Dandan's breakthrough was not enough to absorb the divine chi from the outside. He immediately waved his hand and 3,000 divine gems flew towards Dandan. The divine gems shattered and turned into divine chi, which was absorbed by Dandan. After absorbing the divine gems, Dandan's aura reached its peak. Then, it retracted it. Ha ha ha, I've finally broken through and reached the martial god realm. A savage voice was heard. Dandan soared into the sky with divine force all over its body. It was insufferably arrogant. It felt like it was filled with an inexhaustible amount of energy. It glanced around and saw Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming, come. Fight with me. I won't let you surpass me. I'll show you how powerful I am. Dandan shouted arrogantly. Oh, sure. Lu Ming bared his teeth and smiled. He stepped into the air and slapped him. A purple gold giant hand was formed and pressed down on Dandan. Ah, Lu Ming, you. As soon as Lu Ming struck, Dandan's expression changed. She tried her best to resist, but it was useless. The big hand pressed down and Dandan fell to the ground like a meteorite, stirring up dust in the air. Ah, Lu Ming, you tricked me. In the next moment, Dandan rushed out with a dusty face. It was as pathetic as it could be. Ha 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 ha. The Titan Longhorn Beetle and the others were laughing and crying. You're the one who wanted to fight with me, Lu Ming said innocently. You pervert. Dandan held back for a long time before he could say that. He originally thought that after his breakthrough, his strength had skyrocketed, and the divine force he controlled was extraordinary. He thought that he could compete with Lu Ming. Now, it seemed that he was completely wrong. He made up his mind that unless he was completely confident, he would never fight with Lu Ming again. Old turtle, aren't you going to treat us to a drink after breaking through to the martial god realm? Let's go and drink. Qing Kang, the Titan Longhorn Beetle, and the others pulled Dandan and asked him to treat them to a drink. As the strength of the people coming out of the heavenly realm became stronger, everyone felt a lot more relaxed. Chapter 2605. When he returned to his residence, he saw that Chocho was still gnawing on a pile of divine item fragments. The divine item fragments weren't ordinary, so Chocho naturally didn't digest them that quickly. Moreover, every time it ate, it would have to stop and digest them. Lu Ming didn't bother with Chocho and cultivated by himself. In the blink of an eye, half a year passed. Chocho had eaten all of the divine item fragments Lu Ming had bought. It had finally evolved once more, and its cultivation base had risen to the 3rd level of the Void God realm. However, Lu Ming didn't have any more divine item fragments to give it, so he could only give it some ordinary metal-attributed refining materials. As for Lu Ming, he continued to cultivate. Just like that, 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. After cultivating bitterly for 5 years, Lu Ming had made great progress in all aspects. His cultivation base had risen again, and he had become a 5-star heavenly emperor. Of course, he had also used over 10,000 divine crystals. In addition, his comprehension of the battle character art had become deeper and deeper. Now, when he used the battle character art, the increase in his attack power had become greater and greater. Moreover, The chances of activating the battle character art had become higher and higher. On average, he could succeed after activating it twice. However, the battle character art seemed to have reached a bottleneck at this point. Lu Ming hadn't made any progress in a while. Just cultivating bitterly isn't enough. I still need to go out and temper myself, Lu Ming thought to himself as he ended his cultivation. If he didn't encounter a bottleneck and cultivated bitterly, it was fine. However, once he encountered a bottleneck, just cultivating bitterly wasn't very effective. Cultivating and tempering oneself required killing to trigger inspiration and make a breakthrough. This was also the reason why many people would go out and adventure. Not only could they obtain fortuitous encounters, but they could also temper themselves and break through bottlenecks. Let's go take a look at the righteous army. Lu Ming walked out and headed towards the righteous army. No one stopped him when he arrived at the righteous army's headquarters. Although Lu Ming and the others hadn't officially joined the righteous army already treated them as part of it. There was a mission hall in the righteous army's headquarters. Actually, most factions would have a mission hall like this. Senior, are there any people who are suitable for the empty god realm? Lu Ming came to a counter and asked a white-haired old man. Recently, the most important task is naturally the battle with the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout Sect. The white-haired old man said. Yuan Luo Palace and Walkabout Sect. Lu Ming frowned slightly. That's right. In the past few years, the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout Sect have joined forces to attack some of the vital planets controlled by our righteous army. Our righteous army has also been sending experts to fight against them. Anyone who kills a member of the Yuan Luo Palace or the Walkabout Sect will be rewarded, the white-haired old man said. The Yuan Luo Palace and the Free and Unfettered Sect are joining hands. Could it be that it was caused by me beating up that Sichu Xiao last time? Lu Ming couldn't help but think so. ChMPH, the Walkabout Sect has long wanted to join forces with the Yuan Luo Palace to deal with the Righteous Sky Army. Sure enough, they've made their move. Little guy, do you want to accept this mission? If you do, I'll register you, the white-haired old man asked. All right, then I'll accept this mission. Lu Ming nodded. It seemed that the two forces weren't attacking him because he had beaten up Sichu Xiao, but because the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout Sect had long planned to join forces. Soon, the old man finished the formalities for Lu Ming. I've registered you. Recently, many people have accepted this mission. Tomorrow morning, gather with the others and head to Northern Shong Planet. The white-haired old man gave Lu Ming a black iron token. Lu Ming took it and left. A day passed in the blink of an eye. The next morning, Lu Ming returned to the mission hall. Those who are going to Northern Shong Planet to carry out a mission, gather here. As soon as Lu Ming arrived, he heard someone shouting in the mission hall. Lu Ming walked over. Brother, are you going to Northern Shong Planet to carry out a mission? A large man looked at Lu Ming. Yes. Lu Ming took out the black iron token. All right, then we'll wait here first. When almost everyone is here, we'll set off, the large man said. Lu Ming nodded and walked to the side. As time passed, more and more people gathered. Half an hour later, more than 200 people had gathered here. They were all going to Northern Shong Planet to carry out a mission. They were all in the Void God realm. All right, almost everyone is here. Let's go, the large man said. Everyone headed toward the teleportation array. A teleportation array couldn't teleport so many people at once. They had to take turns. Groups of people went up and stepped into the teleportation array, disappearing from the array. Soon, it was Lu Ming's turn. Lu Ming also stepped into the teleportation array. The next moment, he appeared on a flat ground. This is an island. As soon as he appeared, Lu Ming heard the sound of waves crashing from all directions. There was also a salty sea breeze blowing over. He felt refreshed. Lu Ming rose into the air and looked around. He found that this was indeed an island. The island wasn't big. At a glance, he could see the boundless ocean. Soon, everyone passed through the teleportation array. Follow me. Let's go to 7 Stars Island first and then we'll assign the specific missions. Also, I'll explain the current situation of northern Shong planet to you on the way, the large man said. Everyone followed the large man and flew out of the island toward the vast ocean. The large man's name was Pan Jiang. He had been guarding northern Shong planet. This time, he had specially gone to pick them up. On the way, Pan Jiang introduced the current situation of northern Shong planet. The situation of northern Shong planet was rather special. It was located at the intersection of the Zhengtian army and the Yuan Luo palace. Therefore, northern Shong planet had become a place that both forces had to fight over. Therefore, half of northern Shong planet was occupied by the Zhengtian army and the Yuan Luo palace. The mainland and the ocean each occupied 50% of northern Shong planet. The Zhengtian army occupied the ocean and islands of northern Shong planet and exploited the resources in the ocean. On the other hand, the Yuan Luo palace occupied the mainland part of northern Shong planet and exploited the resources there. The two sides often fought and killed each other. Experts of the Zhengtian army would often sneak into the mainland of northern Shong planet to kill people of the Yuan Luo palace and seize the resources there. Sometimes, people of the Yuan Luo palace would sneak into the islands of the ocean to kill experts of the Zhengtian army. In short, the fighting between the two sides had never stopped. However, in the past 2 years, the Yuan Luo palace had increased their forces on northern Shong planet. The fighting between the two sides had become more frequent. The Zhengtian army had also been increasing their forces on northern Shong planet. Seven Stars Island was the headquarters of the Zhengtian army on northern Shong planet. They flew across the vast ocean and passed by many islands. 3 days later, they finally arrived at Seven Stars Island. Seven Stars Island was incomparably large. Although it was called an island, it was no different from a mainland. At least from Lu Ming's point of view, Seven Stars Island was no smaller than the Grand Clear Sky domain in the Heaven domain. There were many people coming and going on Seven Stars Island. All of them were experts. At a glance, there were at least a few thousand people and all of them were Void God Realm experts. Lu Ming was inwardly shocked. There were so many experts on Seven Stars Island. One could imagine the strength of the entire Zhengtian army. Chapter 2606. One had to know that the Zhengtian army had occupied more than a dozen planets with life. There were also some planets that had no living beings but were guarded by experts who were mining resources. How many empty God Realm experts were there in the Zhengtian army? There were probably tens of thousands of them. In the entire chaotic galaxy, there were at least 800 forces that were not weaker than or stronger than the Zhengtian army. It was hard to count how many empty God Realm experts there were in the chaotic galaxy. No wonder the primitive universe was also called the Divine World, the world of the gods. They stopped at an empty space on the Seven Stars Island. Wait for me here. I'll go ask where we're going to station. After Pan Jiang finished speaking, he flew into a large hall. Soon, Pan Jiang came out of the hall and said, "The island we're going to station is Chen Jindao. Follow me." Pan Jiang took the lead and flew in a direction. Everyone followed. On the way, Pan Jiang explained the situation of Chen Jindao. Chen Jindao was north of the Seven Stars Island. It was an island with ore veins. There was a large ore vein of Chen Jindao on the island. Chen Jindao was a kind of refining metal. Although it was not very precious or rare, it had a wide range of uses. Normally, when refining low-grade divine weapons, a portion of Chen Jindao would be added as a supplementary material to increase the toughness of the divine weapon. Therefore, Chen Jindao was often attacked by the Yuan Luo palace. Chen Jindao originally had 600 empty God Realm experts guarding it. But now, with 600 empty God Realm experts, it was getting more and more difficult to defend it. Therefore, they needed reinforcements. They were here to reinforce Chen Jindao. A day later, they arrived at Chen Jindao. Chen Jindao was not very big. There was a large ore vein on it. There were caves around the ore vein. Each cave was guarded by an empty God Realm expert. In the ore vein, there were tens of thousands of living beings below the empty God Realm who were mining day and night. When Lu Ming and the others arrived, they were naturally received and assigned caves. Soon, Lu Ming was assigned a cave. It was quite spacious and the divine qi was quite dense. Lu Ming was just about to sit down and rest. Dong, dong, dong. Suddenly, the sound of war drums came from outside. Enemy attack, enemy attack. Loud roars echoed throughout the entire island. What a coincidence. Lu Ming was also a little speechless. They had just arrived, and they had already encountered an enemy attack. Without much time to think, Lu Ming rushed out of the cave in a flash. Boom, 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 whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Deafening booms came from the sky above the island. Saber light and sword light illuminated the sky. Divine power of various colors collided in the sky. Many people were already fighting intensely. Kill. Lu Ming soared into the sky, charging towards a big man with a wide mouth and sharp fangs. Each of them came here with a Black Iron Command medallion, which was both a mission medallion and an identity medallion. It was bound to their life aura. Once they died, the Black Iron Command medallion would shatter. They could distinguish each other's identity through the aura emitted by this Black Iron token. This way, it would be easy to tell if they were from the Yuan Luo Palace. Brat, a transformation void martial realm dares to fight with me. I will eat you. The big man with a wide mouth and sharp fangs charged towards Lu Ming. His aura was not weak as he was at level 2 empty god realm. Boom. Lu Ming activated the battle character secret art to double his combat strength. At the same time, he took out the meteor spear and thrust it out. The meteor spear seemed to have turned into a meteor, flashing past. The big man with a wide mouth and sharp fangs was pierced through and he died on the spot. Kill. Lu Ming held the meteor spear and charged towards another expert from the Yuan Luo Palace. That expert was at level 3 empty god realm, but he could not withstand Lu Ming's spear and was stabbed to death by Lu Ming. Now that Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through to a 5-star heavenly emperor, his combat strength had increased by another level. When Lu Ming was a 4-star heavenly emperor, with the battle character secret art, he could fight against a level 4 empty god realm expert. Given Lu Ming's current cultivation level, coupled with the double combat power of the Battle Word Sutra, Lu Ming was able to kill a level 4 void god. Of course, if he were to fight against a level 5 empty god realm expert, he might not be a match. The main thing was that every time a heavenly emperor's cultivation increased by 1 level, it would not be as long as the empty god realm. If he wanted to fight against a level 5 empty god realm existence, Lu Ming would need to break through to a 6-star heavenly emperor. Brat, you are courting death. Seeing that Lu Ming had killed 2 people in a row, a purple-skinned big man targeted Lu Ming and charged towards Lu Ming. Rip. The purple-skinned big man used a pair of halberds. When he waved them around, the power was terrifying. Peak level 4 empty god realm, come at me. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He waved his meteor spear and charged over. The long spear vibrated and rays of dazzling spear radiance burst out, fighting with the purple-skinned big man. Dang! Dang! The two of them fought wildly and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. Phew! The purple-skinned big man could not resist and was suppressed by Lu Ming. He kept retreating. How is this possible? The purple-skinned big man was shocked. Lu Ming was only at the transformation void realm. How could he have such strong combat strength? The purple-skinned big man was at the peak level 4 empty god realm, but he was not a match for Lu Ming. Instead, he was suppressed by Lu Ming. It was like a fantasy story. The purple-skinned big man burst out crazily and waved his halberd wildly, fighting with Lu Ming. Not enough, not strong enough. Lu Ming muttered to himself. His long spear did not stop, forcing the purple-skinned big man to retreat. A level 4 empty god realm martial artist could not give sumo too much pressure. It was of limited use to him in training. Bam! After a few more blows, the purple-skinned big man was hit by Lu Ming's long spear. He retreated and vomited blood. Die! Lu Ming said coldly and stabbed his spear towards the purple-skinned big man's forehead. The speed was unbelievably fast. Not good. The purple-skinned big man was shocked and retreated frantically. However, his speed could not keep up with Lu Ming's speed. Swoosh! At this moment, a snow-white blade radiance flashed. It was extremely fast and accurately hit Lu Ming's long spear. Wang! The long spear vibrated crazily and a terrifying blade energy followed Lu Ming's long spear and rushed towards Lu Ming's arm. Lu Ming felt a sharp pain in his palm, as if it was about to be cut open. Lu Ming crazily unleashed the power of the master to block the saber force. In the next moment, a skinny old man with purple hair and 3 eyes appeared in front of the purple-skinned big man. Evil God Tribe. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This old man was very similar to the evil god tribe in the evil god world. It was very likely that he was from the same tribe as the divine ancestor of the variant tribes. Lu Ming had looked up a lot of information in the righteous army and knew that there was a tribe in the primitive universe called the Three-Eyed Tribe. The evil god tribe might belong to the Three-Eyed Tribe. Chapter 2607. This burly man was obviously a member of the Three-Eyed Tribe. However, he was much more powerful than the divine ancestor. Level 5 Empty God Realm. Lu Ming muttered. The Sovereign Tao. Lad, you must be the ant that escaped from the small thousand world. My tribesmen in that small thousand world have all died at your hands. Today, I will turn you into ashes. The Three-Eyed Tribe Elder's eyes were cold as he stepped out. Divine force surged as the war saber in his hand vibrated, forming a terrifying saber chi that pressed down on Lu Ming. Come on. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with a strong fighting spirit. Level 5 Empty God Realm. Only such an expert could give him such a strong pressure. Lu Ming's Sovereign Tao Force and Sovereign Tao Force surged within his body. The meteor spear shone brightly, raising his combat strength to the maximum. Kill. The Three-Eyed Tribe Elder roared as his war saber sliced through the air at an extremely fast speed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming brandished his long spear and met the attack head-on. Dang! 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 In an instant, the two of them had exchanged more than 10 blows. Lu Ming felt that his opponent's saber chi was like an avalanche as it surged towards him in waves. The power was shocking. The long spear vibrated and his arm went numb. Lu Ming was pushed back by the force of the attack. Powerful. Level 5 Empty God Realm. I am no match for you. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Previously, he had estimated that he was no match for a level 5 Empty God Realm expert. Now that they had exchanged blows, he realized that the combat strength of a level 5 Empty God Realm expert had exceeded his expectations. The gap between each level of the Empty God Realm was huge. The higher the level, the greater the gap. However, this had stimulated his fighting spirit. Again, Lu Ming stepped into the air and merged with his long spear, turning into a ray of spear radiance that shot towards the Three-Eyed Tribe Elder. This lad, shock flashed in the eyes of the old man from the Three-Eyed race. The killing intent in his heart intensified as he slashed out with his saber, aiming for Lu Ming. The two of them continued to fight. However, Lu Ming was no match for the old man. He was suppressed by the old man from the Three-Eyed race and kept retreating. However, Lu Ming's tenacity was amazing. He blocked the old man from the Three-Eyed race and it was not easy for the old man to kill him. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of blows. Awesome, awesome. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Deep in his bones, he was still fond of fighting. He longed to take risks and kill. At this moment, his blood was boiling once again. This kid is too terrifying. He must be eliminated. He must be eliminated. The more he fought, the more terrified he became. Lu Ming was too strong. He was only at the transformation void martial stage, but he actually had such a strong battle strength. Not to mention seeing it, he had never even heard of it. With such battle prowess, if he were to become a god, how terrifying would he be? Quick, attack with me and kill this kid. The old man from the Three-Eyed Divine Palace sent a message to the surrounding experts of the Yuan Luo Palace. At this moment, the sky above the Chen Gold Mine was filled with intense fighting. There were 600 to 700 people from the Yuan Luo Palace who had launched a sneak attack. They were all Empty God Realm experts and were locked in a fierce battle with the experts of the Zhengtian army. There were many people fighting around Lu Ming and the old man from the Three-Eyed Divine Palace. Naturally, there were some experts who had noticed Lu Ming. Instantly, the experts from the Yuan Luo Palace shook off their opponents and charged towards Lu Ming. The experts of the Zhengtian army wanted to stop them, but they could not catch up. At this moment, at least 3 experts charged towards Lu Ming. The 3 of them were all at the level 5 empty god realm. Boom, boom, boom. The 3 level 5 empty god realm experts attacked at the same time. Furthermore, the purple-skinned man that Lu Ming had previously suppressed was also included. With so many experts attacking at the same time, Lu Ming would definitely not be able to block them and would be killed instantly. Cho Cho. Lu Ming waved his hand and the bracelet on his wrist flew out. This bracelet was naturally formed by Cho Cho. Cho Cho flew out and rapidly expanded. Its liquid metal body started to wriggle and turned into a huge shield that blocked in front of Lu Ming. Dong, dong, boom, boom. All the attacks were blocked and Lu Ming was unharmed. Then, Cho Cho's body moved and turned into a metal ball with a diameter of 10 meters. It smashed towards the purple-skinned man's face. Poof! The purple-skinned man's body was like a watermelon that was smashed into pieces by Cho Cho. He died on the spot. Now that Cho Cho had advanced to the level 3 empty god realm, its combat strength had increased tremendously. When Cho Cho was at the level 1 empty god realm, it could already fight against a level 4 empty god realm expert. Now, it could even fight against a level 6 empty god realm expert. The purple-skinned man was only at the level 4 empty god realm and naturally could not block Cho Cho's attack. After killing the purple-skinned man, Cho Cho's body shot out and smashed towards a level 5 empty god realm expert. Bam! That expert was sent flying and spat out a mouthful of blood. What kind of monster is this? The others felt their hair stand on end. This metal ball did not look like a divine weapon, but its power was shocking. A level 5 empty god realm expert was sent flying and spitting out blood. The power of the ball was too terrifying. Swoosh! The metal ball smashed towards the 3-eyed holy tribe elder. Let's work together, the 3-eyed holy tribe elder shouted. He and the other 3 level 5 empty god realm experts worked together and blasted out their strongest attack against Cho Cho. Boom! There was a loud boom. The 3-eyed holy tribe elder and the other 3 level 5 empty god realm experts trembled violently and retreated. Blood flowed out from the corner of their mouths. Cho Cho's current strength was comparable to a level 6 empty god realm expert. A level 6 empty god realm expert was much stronger than a level 5 empty god realm expert. Even if the 3-eyed holy tribe elder and the other 3 joined forces, they could not block Cho Cho's attack. Cho Cho, continue. Lu Ming called out to Cho Cho. At the same time, he rushed over and attacked with all his might. His attacks were aimed at the injured level 5 empty god realm expert. Cho Cho also rushed out and swelled into a metal ball with a diameter of 10 meters. It bombarded the enemy continuously. At this moment, the experts of the Zhengtian army had arrived and attacked the 3-eyed holy tribe elder and the others. In this way, they could not block the attacks. Instantly, the 3-eyed holy tribe elder and the other 3 were injured. The one who was injured by Cho Cho was even more severely injured. Cho Cho, smash him. Lu Ming transmitted a message to Cho Cho. Boom. Cho Cho stared at the injured person and smashed him with all his might. The other party was already injured and could not block the attack. Half of his body exploded and he almost died. How could Lu Ming miss such an opportunity? The meteor spear pierced through the body and killed the other party. Lu Ming used the sovereign's power and took the storage ring. Of course, the other party's weapon was also kept by Lu Ming. The other party was a level 5 empty god realm expert and he must be rich. How could he miss such an opportunity? Retreat, retreat quickly. The 3-eyed holy tribe elders were frightened when they saw one of their own being killed. They did not dare to fight and retreated quickly. Chapter 2608. However, Lu Ming and the others would not let them off so easily. Lu Ming and the other experts from the righteous army worked together to hold back the 3 elders from the 3-eyed divine tribe. Ball ball, smash. Lu Ming stared intently at the elder from the 3-eyed race, calling for Cho Cho to smash his head and face. I'll fight you to the death. The 3-eyed divine tribe elder roared as he slashed his war blade at Ball ball. A huge mouth full of sharp teeth suddenly appeared on Chocho's round body and bit down on the three-eyed old man's saber. Crack! A section of the three-eyed divine tribe elder's war blade was bitten off. The three-eyed divine tribe elder was dumbfounded. He was completely dumbfounded and his mind was in a mess. His war blade was a lower rank 5 divine weapon and was extremely hard. How could it be broken so easily? However, it had been bitten off by Ball. He was dumbfounded. At this moment, Lu Ming seized the opportunity and stabbed his spear through the three-eyed divine tribe elder's forehead, killing him instantly. With a wave of his hand, he kept the three-eyed divine tribe elder's storage ring. Crack! Crack! Chocho opened its mouth wide and swallowed the other party's saber in a few bites. Then, it chewed with satisfaction, making crunching sounds. Even the experts from the righteous army were stunned. The other 2 experts from the Yuan Luo Palace seized the opportunity and rushed out of their encirclement. Retreat! Retreat! At this moment, a voice rang out from the sky. It was a terrifying existence from the Yuan Luo Palace. The aura he emitted was shocking and unfathomable. Lu Ming estimated that he was a rank 9 empty god realm expert. However, the righteous army also had someone of such a level. The 2 of them had been fighting and now that they had separated, the Yuan Luo Palace gave the order to retreat. Swoosh! Swoosh! The experts from the Yuan Luo Palace retreated and turned into rays of light, disappearing without a trace. The righteous army did not chase after them. They understood that they should not chase after a cornered enemy. Moreover, their mission was to guard Chen Jindao. The people of Yuan Luo Palace retreated. The righteous Sky Army counted the casualties and cleaned up the battlefield. Then, they all returned to their cave residences. After a great battle, some people were injured, and some people suffered heavy losses. All of them needed time to recover. Lu Ming also returned to the cave, then took out some divine crystals and began to recover. Activating the battle incantation to double one's combat strength consumed a lot of world energy and ruler's power. Half an hour later, Lu Ming had fully recovered. Then, a black iron token appeared in his hand. It was the mission token. At this moment, the black iron token was emitting a faint glow. Lu Ming guessed that he had obtained it because he had killed an expert from the Origin Luo Hall. However, if he brought this token back, the people of the mission hall would probably be able to find out about Lu Ming's accomplishments and reward him accordingly. After putting away the token, Lu Ming took out a few more storage rings. These storage rings were obtained by Lu Ming after he killed his enemies. Among them, there were 2 5th-level Void God Realm experts. Lu Ming was looking forward to it and began to count them. After counting, Lu Ming was grinning from ear to ear. There were a total of 60,000 divine crystals. In addition to the divine crystals from before, Lu Ming had close to 100,000 divine crystals on him. In addition, there were more than a dozen divine artifacts of various grades. The highest grade divine artifact was a low-level 5 divine artifact. The others were all level 3 and level 4 divine artifacts. Together, they were worth a lot. Lu Ming casually threw 2 low-level 3 divine artifacts to Chocho to eat. Chocho grabbed them and ate them quickly. Lu Ming smiled and closed his eyes to cultivate. In his sea of consciousness, Jingyu's picture scroll opened and emitted a strong ruler's intent. Lu Ming calmed his heart and started to comprehend. He cultivated for 10 days. During these 10 days, it was very peaceful. The Yuan Luo Palace did not attack. After finishing his cultivation, Lu Ming stood up. Hey, where's Chocho? Lu Ming looked around and did not find any trace of Chocho. Lu Ming scanned the cave abode and soon, he made a discovery. Other than the hole, the cave dwelling was sealed on all sides. It was made of special rocks from the ore vein and was extremely hard. But now, there was a cave in the depths of the cave dwelling. Looking at the marks, it was clearly gnawed. There were teeth marks on both sides of the cave. Could this be gnawed by Chocho? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Then, his muscles and bones began to wriggle. Finally, his entire body shrank and he rushed into the cave. The cave was very long. Lu Ming walked for a few thousand meters before he saw Chocho. Chocho was opening its mouth wide and gnawing on the surrounding rocks. The rocks here were actually the Chen gold or vein. The Chen gold ore mixed with the rocks and became extremely hard. Normally, if one wanted to mine Chen gold, they had to be extracted from the ore. The process was very complicated. However, Chocho directly swallowed the mineral vein in large mouthfuls. After a while, it spat out some powder and impurities. This guy, could it be absorbing the Chen gold inside? How is that possible? Lu Ming was surprised. Chocho discovered Lu Ming and glanced at Lu Ming before continuing to eat. It ate at an extremely fast speed and soon, a huge cave had been created in this area. Lu Ming watched with interest. After eating for half a day, Chocho's body had swelled up. Then, it stopped and rolled to the side like a rubber ball. It even burped and stopped moving. Obviously, it had eaten too much and was starting to digest it. This guy, Lu Ming, smiled and did not care about it. After all, this ore vein was extremely huge. Chocho would not be discovered if it ate some secretly. Lu Ming returned to the cave dwelling and continued to cultivate. Occasionally, Lu Ming would walk out of the cave dwelling and ask about the situation outside. During this time, no one from the Yuan Luo Palace had come to attack Chen Jindao. After a few more days, a piece of news came. The Yuan Luo Palace had sent out a large number of experts to attack the Seven Stars Island. Could the Yuan Luo Palace's real target be the Seven Stars Island? Was their previous attack on Chen Jindao just a cover-up? Maybe they want to break through the Seven Stars Island and completely drive the Zhengtian army out of northern Shang planet and monopolize it. Very likely. Many people were guessing. As time passed, the Yuan Luo Palace's attacks on the Seven Stars Island became more frequent. The pressure on the Seven Stars Island increased greatly and they started to transfer experts from the surrounding islands as reinforcements. Chen Jindao originally had around 800 people guarding it. After 400 people were transferred, there were only 400 people left. Lu Ming was not transferred away and continued to guard Chen Jindao. Soon, Lu Ming arrived at Chen Jindao. A month had passed since then. On this day, Lu Ming felt a wave of energy coming from the tunnel that Chocho had created. Lu Ming's figure flashed and charged into the tunnel. In the depths of the tunnel, Chocho had already created a huge underground space. Chocho had devoured a large amount of ore veins. At this moment, Chocho's body was emitting waves of light. It was about to level up again. Chapter 2609. Chocho was about to advance again. During this period of time, it had swallowed a large amount of Chen Jin ore. Although Chen Jin was not considered precious, it was in large quantities. Chocho had swallowed a huge hole in the underground space of this area. No one knew how much Chen Jin it had swallowed. Light spread out from Chocho's surface. It swelled and shrunk for a while before stabilizing. Success. Lu Ming sensed that Chocho had reached the 4th level of the Void God realm. Even Lu Ming was shocked by this speed of improvement. When WN Jinxing had obtained Chocho, it was only at the 1st level of the Void God realm. In just a few years, it had reached the 4th level of the Void God realm. It was not easy to advance in the Void God realm. It was not something a Heavenly Emperor realm could compare to. However, Chocho did not seem to have any bottlenecks. As long as it had precious metals, it could continue to advance. The primitive universe is really mysterious. There are even such creatures. However, the more abnormal they are, the better. Lu Ming was grinning from ear to ear. Chocho bounced a few times in the air and flew to Lu Ming's side. It shrunk rapidly and turned into a bracelet, wrapping around Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming smiled and was about to go out and ask for information. Dong, dong, dong. Suddenly, violent war drums sounded and even the cave residents shook. Enemy attack. A loud roar came from outside. Whoosh. Lu Ming did not hesitate and rushed out of the cave residence. So many people. As soon as he rushed out of the cave residence, Lu Ming was shocked. In the sky above the ore vein, figures were flying and emitting powerful auras. The experts of the Yuan Luo Palace were all experts of the Yuan Luo Palace. This time, The number of experts from the Yuan Luo Palace was shocking. There were at least 1,000 of them. And now, the righteous army had only left behind about 400 experts to guard the Chen Jin or vein. Kill. 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 The densely packed experts of the Yuan Luo Palace dove down and attacked the righteous army. Puff. Puff. Blood splattered everywhere. Immediately, a few experts of the righteous army were killed. There were too many people from the Yuan Luo Palace, almost 3 times the number of the righteous Sky Army. With 2 or 3 of them joining hands to deal with one person from the righteous Sky Army, the battle was completely one-sided and unstoppable. Kill. As soon as Lu Ming rushed out, 2 people attacked him. However, one of them was a level 3 Empty God Realm martial artist while the other was a level 4 Empty God Realm martial artist. Lu Ming was not afraid of them. Lu Ming directly rushed over. The meteor spear appeared in his hand and stabbed out. Whoosh. Whoosh. 2 dazzling spear lights pierced out. Puff. The level 3 Empty God Realm expert was pierced by the spear radiance and died on the spot. The 2 of them were not prepared at all and were hit directly. After 2 blood-curdling screams, they died on the spot. Not good. Retreat. The level 6 Empty God Realm expert's face changed drastically as he retreated rapidly and distanced himself from Qiu Qiu. Retreat. Retreat. At this moment, a roar came from the sky. It was from a level 9 Empty God Realm expert from the Zhengtian army. The Zhengtian army was no match for Yuan Luo Hall. The difference in numbers was too great. Once they exchanged blows, many experts died. In just a short while, about 100 experts had died. You want to leave? Today, none of you will leave. A cold voice sounded as several terrifying figures charged towards the level 9 Empty God Realm expert from the Zhengtian army. Boom. The 2 sides collided. The figures from Yuan Luo Hall were all level 9 Empty God Realm experts. There were a total of 3 of them. 3 against 1, there was no suspense at all. In just a few moves, the Zhengtian army expert let out an unwilling roar and was killed in the air. Kill, leave no one alive. A level 9 Empty God Realm expert from Yuan Luo Hall gave the order. Charge, charge out. Gather together and charge out. Someone from the Zhengtian army roared. The remaining 300 or so people charged in one direction and gathered together. Qiu Qiu, let's go. Lu Ming waved his hand and called Qiu Qiu as he charged towards the group. Right now, they could only survive if they worked together. Otherwise, they would all die. Lu Ming and Qiu Qiu charged towards the Zhengtian army. Kill that brat. You must kill him. The level 6 Empty God Realm expert who had been injured by Qiu Qiu roared. His killing intent was like a blade. Whoosh. Then, a terrifying blade light slashed towards Lu Ming. Baidu Search 81 Chinese Network. No advertising message. Chapter 2610. Lu Ming was just about to fly toward the righteous army when a terrifying saber light slashed at him. The saber light was deathly pale. Before it even arrived, Lu Ming's heart was already pounding and his hair stood on end. Danger, extreme danger. This was definitely the attack of an extremely terrifying existence. Their strength far surpassed the 6th level of the Void God Realm, and perhaps even the 7th level. A terrifying figure had set his eyes on Lu Ming. Not good. Lu Ming could only think of one thing. It was already too late to defend. At this moment, Qiu Qiu appeared on Lu Ming's left side and turned into a shield. Boom. The blade light slashed Qiu Qiu's body and directly pierced through the shield that Qiu Qiu had transformed into. However, Qiu Qiu had already absorbed the majority of the saberlight's power. The remaining power was very limited, and its speed had greatly decreased. Lu Ming finally reacted. His meteor spear swept out and blocked that saberlight. Qiu Qiu. Lu Ming's heart tightened. Qiu Qiu had been pierced through. Would it be all right? In the next moment, Lu Ming let out a sigh of relief. Qiu Qiu's body turned back into a ball. With a leap, it returned to Lu Ming's shoulder as if nothing had happened. This fellow is truly amazing. Lu Ming sighed inside. Then he increased his speed and charged toward the righteous army. There's such a treasure. Not far away, A silver-haired elder stared at Chocho with a blazing gaze. This silver-haired elder held a silver saber in his hand. That saber attack just now had been unleashed by him. With a swift movement, he dashed toward Lu Ming at high speed. At this time, Lu Ming had already met up with the righteous army. Nearly 300 people had gathered together. They were like a sharp saber as they charged forward with all their strength. Kill, kill, kill. Around them, more than 1,000 people from the Yuan Luo Palace surrounded Lu Ming and the rest, attacking them continuously. Terrifying attacks were launched at them. Lu Ming was also in the crowd, brandishing his spear to block the attacks. Brat, die. That silver-haired elder stared at Lu Ming and continuously slashed his saber at Lu Ming. Luckily, Chocho had turned into a shield and protected Lu Ming's vitals. This was how he was able to block the opponent's attacks. Otherwise, Lu Ming would have been in danger. Charge! 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 The righteous army charged forward with their lives. Some people had even burned their divine power. Although the righteous army's people continued to die in battle, it was effective. After a while, they finally broke out of the encirclement and flew towards the ocean. Don't chase, that matter is more important. A 9th level choo-choo-choo-choo-choo-choo-choo-choo-choo-choo it should be here. Quick-quick-quick-quickies group. A level 9 empty god realm expert instructed. Over 1,000 people from the Yuan Luo Palace gathered and attacked at the same time. One attack after another was directed at Chen Jinghuang. The Chen gold mine exploded and shattered rocks flew everywhere. A large amount of the mine was sent flying and scattered everywhere. However, the people from the Yuan Luo Palace did not even look at it. Their target did not seem to be the Chen gold mine. Lu Ming and the others flew at top speed. They only slowed down when they realized that the people from the Yuan Luo Palace were not chasing after them. Damn it! Damn it! Many people roared. This time, they had suffered a great loss. Out of more than 400 people, only about 200 were left. It was a great loss. This time, they did not expect that the Yuan Luo Palace would suddenly mobilize such a strong force to attack the Chen Jingquang vein when they were initially concentrating on attacking the Seven Stars Island. Send the news to the Seven Stars Island. We must take revenge. Someone gritted his teeth and sent the news to the Seven Stars Island. Boom. At this moment, a beam of light shot up into the sky and pierced through the clouds. That is, everyone looked in that direction in shock. That direction was clearly the direction of the Chen gold mine. It's the Chen gold mine. What's going on? Someone was puzzled. Such a shocking phenomenon. We can see it clearly even from 100,000 miles away. There must be a rare treasure, or an expert's cave, or some ruins. Someone guessed. That must be it. I understand now. The Yuan Luo Palace must have received some information. Their original target was the Chen gold mine. The attack on the Seven Stars Island was just an illusion. Someone roared. Everyone was moved. Perhaps it was true. Perhaps the attack on the Seven Stars Island by the Yuan Luo Palace was just an illusion to confuse them. Not only could they restrain the forces on the Seven Stars Island, they could also lure away some experts from the Chen gold mine. Then, the Yuan Luo Palace would gather their forces and take over the Chen gold mine. No, report this to the higher-ups, report it to the general. Someone immediately sent the news out with a message transmission Jade Talisman. Then, they decided to send people to the Chen gold mine to investigate. At this moment, the Chen gold mine had completely changed. The mine had disappeared and a cave entrance appeared under it. A beam of light shot out from the cave entrance and pierced the sky. It only disappeared after half an hour. A sky god's cave dwelling. Ha ha ha, there really is a sky god's cave dwelling. Quick, send the news to the palace master. A bulky man laughed wildly. The others were also full of smiles as their eyes flashed with a fiery light. A sky god's cave dwelling, it was a cave dwelling left behind by a sky god. It was simply unimaginable. The chaotic galaxy was vast and there were countless cultivators. There were also countless divine spirits that had reached the empty god realm. However, there were only a few who had reached the sky god realm in history. Now, the sky god that everyone knew was the pavilion master of the Cloud Peak Pavilion, the strongest force in the chaotic galaxy. That was the only known existence of the heavenly god realm in the chaotic Star River. One could imagine how valuable a cave dwelling left behind by a sky god was. Even if the sky god had left some useless things in the cave dwelling, it would still be a supreme treasure to others. The people of the Yuan Luo Palace immediately spread the news. Not only did they inform the palace master of the Yuan Luo Palace, but they also gathered more experts of the Yuan Luo Palace. Not long after, groups of experts flew over from the sky. They were all experts of the Yuan Luo Palace. They had rushed over to increase the strength of this place. 100,000 miles away, there was also a group of people from the righteous army that had met up with Lu Ming's group. They had already spread the news and informed the other party of their location. "What's going on?" someone from the righteous army asked. The Chen Jinghuang mine was ambushed by the Yuan Luo Palace. They sent out more than 1,000 empty gods and more than 200 of us were killed. Only these people escaped. Someone explained helplessly. "Damn the Yuan Luo Palace." Someone from the righteous army roared. "Why did the Yuan Luo Palace ambush the Chen Jinghuang mine?" someone asked. "There should be a treasure on the Chen Jinghuang Island." As soon as someone explained, a few figures flew over from afar. They were the people that had been sent to observe the Chen Jinghuang mine. A cave dwelling has appeared on the Chen Jinghuang mine. A large number of experts from the Yuan Luo Palace have already gathered there. Someone who had gone to inquire about the news said. Chapter 26:11. What? A cave? So that's how it is. It must be the cave of an expert. The Yuan Luo Palace must be after this cave. They can forget about monopolizing it. We'll wait here for the general to arrive and kill our way back. Okay. The righteous army was shocked to hear that there was a cave of an expert in the Chen Jinghuang mine. They had excavated the Chen Jinghuang mine for so many years, but they hadn't found anything. Thus, the righteous sky army began to wait there. The Chen Jinghuang mine. "You guys, leave a group to guard the outside. The rest of you, follow me in and explore," a burly old man ordered. Yes. Everyone bowed and accepted the order. They looked at the old man with respect in their eyes. This old man was a top expert of the Yuan Luo Palace, a terrifying true god expert. Every true god was a top expert in the Yuan Luo Palace. They ruled over a region and had the power to decide life and death. Under the old man's orders, the people of the Yuan Luo Palace left a group of people to guard the cave while the rest followed the old man into the cave. 100,000 miles away, Lu Ming and the others were waiting quietly. Lu Ming was also resting on the surface of the sea. Crack, 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 crack. Cho opened its mouth and bit with all its might. Its eyes stared in the direction of the Chen Jinghuang mine. "What do you want to do?" Lu Ming asked. Crack, 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 crack. Cho's large mouth kept on biting as its teeth collided. It even extended a tentacle and pointed in the direction of the Chen Jinghuang mine with a look of desire. "You want to go to the Chen Jinghuang mine?" Lu Ming asked. Crack, crack. Cho's round body rolled a few times. "Okay, I'll go with you, but be careful," Lu Ming said after some thought. He was also curious and wanted to see what was going on with the cave of the Chen Jinghuang mine. Cho turned into a bracelet and wore it on Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming didn't tell anyone else and headed for the Chen Jinghuang mine alone. 100,000 miles was soon covered. So many experts. As they approached the Chen gold mine, Lu Ming discovered that there were at least a few thousand Yuan Luo Hall experts on the Chen Gold Island. With so many experts around, it's impossible for us to approach them head-on. What should we do? Right, from the sea, Lu Ming's eyes lit up, and he dove into the sea. He dove down to a depth of 1,000 meters and approached Chen Jindao. No one from the Yuan Luo Palace was guarding the sea because the entire Chenjin Island was made up of Chen gold mines. They weren't worried about it. Soon, Lu Ming arrived at the seabed of Chen Jindao. At this point, Cho directly flew out, opened its mouth wide, and bit at Chen Jindao. Whoosh! Chocho's speed was extremely fast. Soon, a large hole was bitten out of Chen Jindao's body. Then, it kept moving forward and soon, a passageway appeared. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Perhaps they could use this to enter Chen Jindao's cave. Lu Ming looked delighted as he followed closely behind Chocho. Crack crack crack, Chocho's speed increased as it moved deeper into the island. Originally, Chen Jindao's mines were extremely hard. Even an expert would find it difficult to dig a passageway. Moreover, it would cause a huge commotion and the experts of the Yuan Luo Palace on the island would discover it. However, Chocho didn't make any noise as it swallowed the Chen Jin mine. After an unknown period of time. Chocho, be careful. There's movement ahead, Lu Ming whispered. Because there were bursts of explosions ahead, as if a great battle was taking place. Chocho slowed down a little. When it bit down on the mines, it didn't make any noise. After a while, the mines seemed to have been dug through and a gap appeared. Lu Ming looked outside through the gap and took in the scenery outside. There was a huge building outside that was built with a type of black rock. It was so huge that one couldn't see the end of it with a glance. At the front of the building, there was a large door. At this moment, a group of people was attacking the door. However, there was clearly a great formation on the door. Rays of light flashed and the group of people couldn't break the formation no matter how hard they tried. Especially one of the old men. His aura was extremely terrifying and gave off a terrifying feeling. Every move of his exploded with terrifying power that bombarded the great formation on the door. What a terrifying expert! Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Even though there was still some distance between them, the aura emitted by the old man still made him fearful. The Yuan Luo Palace already has such a terrifying expert. This cave dwelling is definitely not small, Lu Ming thought. However, the experts of the Yuan Luo Palace couldn't break the great formation no matter how hard they tried. Damn it! The defensive power of this great formation is too strong. Even the surrounding walls have a great formation. It's impossible to break it open. Now, we can only wait for the palace master and the others to come and find a way to break it open. After attacking for a while, the old man stopped and said unhappily. The people of the Yuan Luo Palace were also helpless and could only stop and wait. Chocho, let's leave, Lu Ming whispered to Chocho. Then, Chocho turned around and left the place. Then, it approached the building. Not long after, the vein disappeared and a pitch-black wall blocked their path. This wall was the wall of the building. Lu Ming took out a divine weapon battle sword and slashed it on the wall. However, there wasn't a single mark. The stone of this wall is very special. It's sturdy and indestructible. There's also the power of the great formation on it. It's impossible to break it open. Looks like we can only stop here. Lu Ming sighed. This cave dwelling must be extraordinary if it could attract the Yuan Luo Palace. If they could sneak in and obtain some treasures, they would definitely be rich. Lu Ming was also tempted. Unfortunately, there was nothing he could do about it. At this moment, Chocho opened its mouth and bit at the wall. Crack! A small piece of the wall was bitten off. This works. Lu Ming was tongue-tied. There was a great formation on the wall. Even that terrifying old man of the Yuan Luo Palace couldn't break it open. Yet, Chocho could bite it open. It had completely ignored the great formation. Now, Lu Ming only had one thought. Chocho's teeth were too good. Crack, crack. Chocho bit with all its might. Although it wasn't biting fast and could only bite off a small piece each time, it would definitely bite through the wall and enter the building. Lu Ming waited expectantly. At this moment, more and more experts from the Yuan Luo Palace had arrived at the Chen Gold Mine. And more experts from the Zhengtian army had arrived 100,000 miles away. However, neither side made a move. They were also waiting for the arrival of the strongest experts from both sides. Baidu searching 81 Chinese network. No advertising message. Chapter 2612. The headquarters of Yuan Luo Hall was situated on a giant planet. There was a giant city on this planet. Two figures were discussing something in a great hall in the city. One of them was a middle-aged man who looked somewhat similar to Kang Long. He was the Yuan Luo Hall master, Kang Ji. The other was an elder with 3 eyes between his brows. He had long golden hair and was also from the 3-eyed race. He was of the same race as the foreign tribe's divine ancestor. This elder's status in Yuan Luo Hall was not to be underestimated. He was a grand elder and was extremely powerful. He was on the same level as the Yuan Luo Hall master. His name was Mo Khan. The two of them were the strongest in Yuan Luo Hall. A sky god's cave dwelling. I didn't expect there to be a sky god's cave dwelling on northern Shong planet. Elder Mo Khan of the 3-eyed race had a fiery look in his eyes. I thought it would at most be a true god's cave dwelling. I didn't expect it to be a sky god's cave dwelling. This is a great opportunity. The Yuan Luo Hall master's eyes were also fiery. Hall master, I'm afraid that Fa Ming of the Righteous Army has also received the news. I'm afraid he will rush to northern Shong planet. This is troublesome. Mo Khan frowned. Fa Ming was the name of the ancestor of techniques. That ant from a minor 1000 world. If we had known earlier, we would have killed him back then and there wouldn't be such trouble now. Murderous intent flashed in the Yuan Luo Hall master's eyes when he mentioned the ancestor of techniques. Unfortunately, he has already matured. Even if the two of us join forces, we may not be able to kill him, Mo Khan said helplessly. When we obtain the treasures of the Sky God's cave dwelling and our strength increases greatly, we will definitely kill him. Moreover, I already have a plan this time. That old man Fu Heng still owes me a favor. I have already sent him a message. He will delay Fa Ming for a while. The Yuan Luo Hall master said. Hall master is wise. I am relieved with Fu Heng's help. Hall master, let us depart now. Mo Khan said joyfully. Let's go. The Yuan Luo Hall master and Mo Khan led a group of Yuan Luo Hall experts towards northern Shong planet. Righteous Army, Righteous Star. An expert's cave dwelling? Since the Yuan Luo Palace has placed such importance on it, let's go take a look. Within a palace, the ancestor of techniques also received the news. He took a step forward and was about to head towards the teleportation portal to planet Northern Shong. Brother Fa Ming, where are you going in such a hurry? Right at this moment, an aged voice rang out, and a figure suddenly appeared in the sky. This figure was an old man with silver-white skin. Clearly, he was not a human. The old man wore a long white robe. He stood above the clouds and smiled at the ancestor of techniques. Fu Heng. The ancestor of technique frowned, and said, Fu Heng, what wind blew you to my righteous army? Brother Fa Ming, it's been tens of thousands of years since we last met. I'm here today to play a game of chess with you. Fu Heng smiled. You want to play chess with me? Another day. I'm not free today. The ancestor of law said. I can only play this game today. If it were any other day, I wouldn't be able to play this game. Fu Heng smiled and stepped forward. He arrived before the ancestor of technique and blocked his path. Kang Ji asked you to come? The ancestor of technique's expression darkened. Back then, I owed him a huge favor. I have no choice but to repay this favor. Fu Heng sighed. It seems like the cave abode in planet Northern Shong is truly extraordinary. To think that Kang Ji would ask you to delay me so that I can't rush to planet Northern Shong. Given how smart the ancestor of technique was, he figured out everything after thinking about it. Brother Fa Ming, let's play another game. I'll leave once the game is over. Fu Heng smiled and waved his hand. A huge flag appeared in the void. The ancestor of technique frowned. Fu Heng was extremely powerful. If they really fought, he was not confident at all. In fact, there was a high chance that he would lose to the other party. Instantly, thoughts flashed through the ancestor of technique's mind. Alright, since you're so interested, let's play a game. The ancestor of technique was helpless as well. He sat cross-legged in the air, facing Fu Heng across the chessboard. At the same time, he sent a message out, informing the people of the Righteous Army that before he arrived at planet Northern Shong, they were not to interfere no matter what happened. Then, he began to play chess with Fu Heng. Planet Northern Shong, Chen Jinghuang Vane. The Yuan Luo Hall Master, Kang Ji, and the others arrived. Greetings, Hall Master. The true Immortal Realm Elder from before and the others from the Yuan Luo Hall bowed. How is it? Have you all investigated this cave abode? The Yuan Luo Hall Master asked. Hall Master, we've already investigated it. However, there's a powerful defensive formation outside the cave abode. I can't break it with my cultivation. I'm afraid that we'll need the help of the Hall Master and the Grand Elder to break it. The true Immortal Realm Elder reported. It's expected that there's a great formation. Let's go. The Yuan Luo Hall Master led a group of experts into the cave abode and arrived before the door of the building. Boom. The Yuan Luo Hall Master attacked right away. A terrifying attack blasted at the door. Rays of light immediately flickered on the door, blocking the attack of the Yuan Luo Hall Master. Boom. With a violent explosion, the great formation of the door shook violently. The strength of the Yuan Luo Hall Master was much stronger than the true Immortal Realm Elder. The true Immortal Realm Elder was only at the first level true Immortal Realm, while the Yuan Luo Hall Master had already reached the fourth level true Immortal Realm. It's effective. The Hall Master is so powerful. The eyes of the others from the Yuan Luo Hall lit up as they flattered the Hall Master. Let's attack together and break the great formation as soon as possible, the Yuan Luo Hall Master ordered. Then, the experts of the Yuan Luo Hall attacked together. However, this great formation was indeed very sturdy. Even if their attacks were effective, they couldn't break it in a short period of time. They needed to slowly grind away the energy of the great formation before they could break it. It would take a long time. On the other side, Ball was still biting the wall. At this moment, a huge hole had been bitten into the wall. It was at least a meter deep. This wall is really sturdy. Lu Ming was also speechless. Now, he could only wait patiently. With his cultivation, there was nothing he could do to help. Just like that, a day passed. The wall had already been bitten 3 meters deep by Ball. Crack. With Ball's bite, the wall was finally bitten through. It's done. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Crack. Crack. Ball also became spirited and bit harder. Soon, a hole appeared and the wall was completely broken through. On the other side, dim light came from the other side. Lu Ming's body shrunk and rushed into the hole in the wall. In the next moment, he appeared in a passageway. This passageway was surrounded by pitch-black walls. They had directly dug through the wall in the middle of the passageway. Lu Ming identified the direction and then strode into the depths of the passageway. Baidu searching 81 Chinese network. No advertising message. Chapter 26:13. The passage was a few hundred meters long. After walking through the passage, Lu Ming found a courtyard. It turned out that the passage just now was just a small path on the side. This was the main courtyard. Boom. Boom. A series of explosions came from outside the courtyard. It was obvious that the entrance of the building was outside the courtyard. The Yuan Luo Hall Master and the others were attacking the formation of the entrance. They would never have thought that before they could break the formation of the entrance, someone had already entered the building. I have to speed up. Lu Ming's figure flashed and he went into the courtyard. There was a large hall in the courtyard. Lu Ming immediately looked around. The large hall was empty and there was nothing. Lu Ming was a little disappointed. However, there was an inner hall after the large hall. Lu Ming walked into the inner hall. The inner hall was a little messy and there was a huge platform. Lu Ming looked carefully and recognized that this platform should be used to forge weapons. Some materials were casually piled up in the corners. Crunch. Crunch. Cho had already started eating. It stretched out 2 tentacles and grabbed the materials and started eating. This is star silver, black sky gold. Lu Ming swept his gaze across and discovered 2 types of extremely precious refining materials. Star silver and black sky gold were both materials that could be used to forge middle-grade divine artifacts. They were very precious. Wait. Lu Ming rushed over and quickly grabbed the star silver and black sky gold in his hands and put them away. These were only the materials that Lu Ming knew. There were many others that Lu Ming didn't know. They probably weren't of low grades. Lu Ming and Chocho swept these materials away like a whirlwind. Crunch, crunch. Chocho glared at Lu Ming, as if saying that Lu Ming had snatched its food. These materials aren't cheap. Take them out and exchange them for something else. Lu Ming chuckled. Forging materials that could be used to forge middle-grade divine artifacts were definitely priceless. However, other than these materials, they did not find anything else of value. Lu Ming speculated that this should really be the cave residence of a powerhouse. That powerhouse was refining tools here, and some of the materials that he didn't need were left in the corner. These were the materials that Lu Ming had collected before. However, the item that the expert didn't care about was still shockingly valuable to others. Lu Ming looked around happily, but didn't find anything else. Lu Ming left the inner hall and returned to the outer hall. He discovered that there was a corridor at the side of the outer hall. Following the corridor, he arrived at another courtyard. In front of the courtyard, there was a tall building. However, the entrance to the courtyard was closed. There was also a grand array on the entrance. Lu Ming tried and realized that he couldn't enter at all. He was blocked by the array. Looks like we have to take a detour again. Lu Ming pondered for a moment, then went back the way he had come. He arrived at the side passage and exited through the opening Chocho had bitten open. How can I block this opening? Lu Ming pondered. Later, if Yuan Luo Hall Master and the others broke through the array and entered, they would probably find this opening. Chocho seemed to have seen through Lu Ming's thoughts. It opened its mouth and spat out a sticky black liquid that looked like a black liquid metal. The black liquid metal poured into the opening and rapidly solidified, completely blocking the opening. Lu Ming was a little dazed. He speculated that this black liquid metal was the impurities that Chocho had eaten. Anyway, the opening was blocked. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Then, Chocho continued to gnaw on the Chen Jingquang vein and went inside the building. Estimating that it had passed the entrance, Chocho began to bite the black wall again. A few days later, Chocho bit through the wall. Lu Ming entered through the opening and found that he had entered the building behind the entrance. There were secret rooms here. Lu Ming began to search. At first, several secret rooms were empty. He did not discover anything until he came to the largest secret room. There were several shelves placed around the room, and on the shelves, there were some jade bottles. Godly pills. Lu Ming's eyes glittered. Godly pills were the most useful for martial gods. There were actually some godly pills here. Lu Ming picked up a jade bottle and saw runes carved on it. These runes were used to seal the bottle to prevent the pills from leaking out. However, many years had passed, thus the power of the seal had weakened. Lu Ming soon broke the seal with the Tao of Ruler. He then opened the jade bottle. A strong medicinal fragrance immediately filled the air. There are more pills. Lu Ming was overjoyed. However, Lu Ming had no idea what the pills in the jade bottle were called, nor what they were used for. Lu Ming knew nothing about the pills. Screw it, I'll put them away first. I'll identify them later. With a wave of his hands, Lu Ming put away all the jade bottles. There were more than 50 jade bottles. After putting them away, Lu Ming inspected the secret room. There was a dark mark at the center of the room. This must be a secret room used to refine pills. The mark at the center must be where the cauldron was placed. Lu Ming speculated. Even though Lu Ming was not familiar with godly pills, he was an expert in pill alchemy in the heaven realm, thus he was familiar with the steps of refining pills. He was able to deduce many things by observing the layout of the secret room. It was obvious that this was a secret room used to refine pills, but the owner of the room had left with the cauldron and most of the pills. Perhaps some of the pills that were not important to the owner of the cave had been left behind. They were the pills that Lu Ming had found before. However, the owner of the cave was probably not to be underestimated. Even if the owner of the cave didn't like them, it didn't mean that Lu Ming didn't like them. After walking out of the secret room, Lu Ming began to search again. Then, he found a passage. However, this passage was also set up with a formation, so Lu Ming couldn't pass through it at all. This cave is really big. There are more inside. Let's continue. Lu Ming was full of smiles. This cave had obviously been abandoned by its owner. Almost all the good things had been taken away, but even if there were some left behind that were not important to the owner of the cave, they were still precious treasures. Lu Ming went out through the hole they came in from. Qiu repeated the same trick and spat out liquid metal to block the hole. Then, they continued to dig deeper into the cave. After walking for a while, Qiu continued to bite a hole in the stone wall, and Lu Ming entered. This time, the place they entered was a little special. They seemed to have entered a passage. The passage was very large, at least 100 meters in diameter, and there were smooth walls on all sides. In front of the passage, it was pitch black, and they didn't know where it led to. Lu Ming muttered to himself for a moment, and then walked along the passage. Hoo! Suddenly, there was a terrifying whistling sound in the passage. Then, there was a strong suction force in the passage, and Lu Ming was sucked in. Baidu searching 81 Chinese network. No advertising message. Chapter 26:14. Not good. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. The suction force in front of the passage was too strong. Lu Ming was not prepared at all and was sucked in at once. Swish. Lu Ming was like a small boat in a huge wave, drifting with the current and being thrown out. Soon, the passage came to an end. However, there was an even larger passage at the end of the passage. The passage that Lu Ming was in was just a branch. The two passages converged together. Lu Ming was directly thrown into this larger passageway. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The larger passage was at least a few thousand meters in diameter and was filled with endless gales that blew in one direction. It was because of the gales that it produced such a terrifying suction force. The endless gales blew on Lu Ming's body like sharp blades, cutting Lu Ming's body and causing waves of stinging pain. Lu Ming hurriedly circulated his sovereign power and covered his body to resist the attack of the gales. Whoosh whoosh. The gales whistled as Lu Ming was carried forward by the gales. In the blink of an eye, he had flown over 100 li. No, I can't be carried like this forever. Lu Ming's mind raced as he mustered all his strength and rushed to the side of the passage. The side of the passage was full of bumpy rocks. When Lu Ming approached the side of the passage, Lu Ming grabbed a protruding rock and finally stabilized his body. There's actually a hurricane passage in the depths of this cave. Where does it lead? Lu Ming pondered. Could it be that the true core of the cave was in the depths of the passage and that he had to pass through the hurricane passage to reach the core of the cave? This was very likely. Many experts would set up formations or traps around their cave abodes to prevent others from entering. This hurricane passage was very likely set up by the cave abode's owner. Go along the side of the passage and take a look. Lu Ming made up his mind. Since he had come here, he did not want to give up. Immediately, Lu Ming followed the side of the passage and climbed the protruding rocks, slowly heading deeper into the passage. However, Lu Ming realized that the closer he got to the depths of the passage, the stronger the gales became. Lu Ming was very draining to resist the hurricane's power. Every once in a while, Lu Ming had to stop to rest and recover his strength. Just like that, Lu Ming walked for 3 days but still did not reach the end of the passage. This passage seemed to be endless with no end. Roar. At this moment, Lu Ming heard a beast roar. Beast roar? What's going on? Could there be desolate beasts or divine beasts here? Lu Ming revealed a puzzled look, but in the next moment, his eyes widened. This was because he saw a huge desolate beast soaring in the hurricane and flying toward Lu Ming. This was a strange desolate beast. Its body was like a goshawk and it was covered in green feathers. However, its head was that of a lion. It was Lu Ming's first time seeing such a desolate beast with a lion's head and a bird's body. This desolate beast was completely unafraid of the gales. With a flap of its wings, it flew against the wind. Its gaze was like lightning as it swept towards Lu Ming. Swish, swish. It flapped its wings a few times and flew towards Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. Its sharp claws swiped at Lu Ming. The wind howled and it was terrifyingly sharp. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He grabbed the rock with one hand and the meteor spear with the other. He stabbed out. Dang! The meteor spear stabbed at the other party's sharp claws, producing the sound of metal clashing. The lion-headed harpy was sent flying, but Lu Ming's spear also trembled violently, causing Lu Ming's arm to turn numb. What terrifying strength! Lu Ming's heart turned cold. He did not dare to be careless. Roar! The lion-headed harpy retreated and spread its wings to stabilize its body. Its eyes turned even colder. With a flap of its wings, it charged towards Lu Ming like a gust of wind. Its wings were like blades as they slashed towards Lu Ming. Swish! 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 Lu Ming held his spear with one hand and stabbed out rays of spear light as he engaged in a fierce battle with the lion-headed harpy. In a blink of an eye, both sides had exchanged dozens of blows. Finally, Lu Ming stabbed the lion-headed harpy's lower abdomen. The lion-headed harpy roared angrily as it retreated frantically. Feathers fell from the sky as it was swept away by the gales and disappeared at the end of the tunnel. Roar! Roar! The lion-headed harpy was infuriated. It constantly roared and flapped its wings rapidly. Swish! Swish! Wind blades formed and were sharper than ordinary divine weapons as they shot towards Lu Ming. Not good. Lu Ming did not hesitate and activated the battle character art to double his combat strength. Now, Lu Ming could activate the battle character art's double combat strength after activating it twice. After activating the double combat strength, his strength increased greatly. With a shake of his spear, hundreds of rays of spear light were shot out, destroying the wind blades one by one. At the same time, the spear swept towards the lion-headed harpy along with the wind. Lu Ming's attack was already astonishingly fast. With the wind, it became even faster. The lion-headed harpy wanted to dodge, but it was too late. It was directly hit by the spear. Bang! The lion-headed eagle-body beast exploded. What surprised Lu Ming was that after the lion-headed harpy exploded, there was not a drop of blood. It directly turned into energy and disappeared. Fake! It's not a real creature. Lu Ming was also stunned. Could it be that it was condensed by the array? However, this lion-headed harpy was too real. It was no different from a real one. Lu Ming could not distinguish it just now. After killing this lion-headed eagle beast, Lu Ming continued to move forward along the side. However, this time, he did not go far before he heard a few roars. Then, Lu Ming saw the lion-headed harpies again. Moreover, this time, there was not one, but three. The three lion-headed harpies pounced on Lu Ming as soon as they saw Lu Ming. Then let's fight. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. He waved his spear and fought with the three lion-headed harpies. This time, they exchanged more than 100 moves. In this hurricane passage, Lu Ming had to resist the wind and it was difficult for him to exert his full strength. However, the lion-headed harpies were like fish in water. They could exert their strength to the extreme. Therefore, even if the lion-headed harpy's level was not high, Lu Ming still spent a lot of effort to kill them. In this kind of environment, it's not bad to use it to train myself. Lu Ming smiled slightly. In this kind of adversity, Lu Ming had to go all out against the lion-headed harpies. He had to use his god's power and the battle formula to the extreme. After that exchange, Lu Ming felt that he had gained some understanding of the god's power and the battle formula. Although it was not much, it was still much faster than boring and bitter cultivation. Afterwards, Lu Ming found a large protruding rock and used it to stabilize his body. He circulated his energy to recover. Every time he used the battle formula, he needed to rest and recover. He could not use it continuously. Several hours later, Lu Ming had fully recovered and continued deeper into the passage. However, he did not go very far before several lion-headed harpies appeared and began to fight with Lu Ming. After exchanging more than 100 moves, Lu Ming finally managed to kill the lion-headed harpies. He had gained more understanding of the god's path and the battle formula. Baidu Search Dong 81 Chinese Network. No advertising message. Chapter 26:15. Just like that, Lu Ming continued to advance and kill along the way. 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. There was still no end to the passage after 3 months. There were 2 main reasons for this. Firstly, this passage was too long. The second reason was that Lu Ming was advancing very slowly. This was because he would encounter the lion-headed eagle beasts every once in a while. Naturally, he would be slowed down. There was even one time when Lu Ming encountered more than 10 lion-head eagle beasts appearing at the same time. Lu Ming was no match for them and could only retreat against the wind. Luckily, these lion-head eagle beasts seemed to have their own territories. They stopped pursuing Lu Ming when he retreated to a certain area. Lu Ming continued to fight with the lion-head eagle beasts. Meanwhile, the Yuan Luo Hall master and the experts of the Yuan Luo Hall had finally broken the formation of the outermost door after 3 months. Crack! The door opened and the Yuan Luo Hall master and the others rushed in excitedly. They were imagining that there was a large amount of treasure waiting for them. However, it was like a basin of cold water had been poured over them. Nothing at all. They searched every nook and cranny, but it was empty. There was nothing there. The Yuan Luo Hall master's face darkened. They had also searched the passage that Lu Ming had entered previously, but that gap had been blocked by Qiuqiu. They had only scanned it casually and did not discover it. Soon, they arrived at the inner part and were blocked by the second door. Hallmaster, there is another door here. Perhaps we are only at the outer part of the cave, so there are no treasures here. Perhaps we can find a fortuitous encounter through this door. Great Elder Mo Khan of the Yuan Luo Hall said. That's right, the treasures must be hidden inside. We will definitely find the treasures once we break this door. The others of the Yuan Luo Hall spoke one after another. The Yuan Luo Hall master's expression turned slightly better as he said, "All right, let's work together and break this door. I will not mistreat you all when we find the treasures." "Thank you, Hall master." The others expressed their gratitude and began to attack the door together. However, their expressions turned ugly as soon as they attacked. This was because the strength of the array formation on this door was much stronger than the first door. The first door had taken them several months to break open. This door would probably take even longer. But now that things had come to this, they had no choice but to grit their teeth and attack. In the air above the righteous Sky Army, the ancestor of techniques and Fu Heng were still playing chess. What they were playing was not a real game of chess. It was a game of cultivation base and intelligence. Every move was a contest between the two of them, and required a very long time. They were still playing chess with all their might. In the Hurricane Passage, Lu Ming was still moving forward slowly, fighting against the lion-head eagle body beast. In this way, Lu Ming entered the Hurricane Passage. 8 months had passed. After 8 months of continuous fighting, Lu Ming had made great progress in all aspects. Lu Ming felt that his cultivation already reached the limits of a 5-star heavenly emperor and could already break through. My cultivation has indeed improved very quickly by constantly killing and tempering myself here. Lu Ming sighed with emotion. If he cultivated step by step outside, even in a good environment like the Chaos Universe, Lu Ming would need at least 5 years to break through. This was still under the premise that he had Jing Yu's portrait to study from time to time. But here, in less than a year, Lu Ming felt that he could break through. I have to find a better place to break through. Along the way, I also saw some pits, but I can break through in those pits. Lu Ming pondered. The walls here were bumpy and uneven, and there would often be some depressions. They were like shallow caves, and were very good hiding places. Lu Ming continued forward. After a few more battles, Lu Ming finally found a pit. Entering the pit, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged and circulated his cultivation to adjust his breathing. A few hours later, Lu Ming recovered to his peak state. Then, he took out a pile of divine crystals and began to break through. This time, the breakthrough came naturally. There was no difficulty at all. Several days later, Lu Ming successfully stepped into the 6-star Heavenly Emperor realm. The price was that he consumed a total of more than 10,000 divine crystals. Stepping into the 6-star Heavenly Emperor realm, Lu Ming's strength became a little stronger again. However, the further one went in the Void God realm, the greater the gap between each level. When he broke through in the Heavenly Emperor realm, it became more and more difficult to fight across levels. If he did not use the battle character tactic, Lu Ming could at most contend with a level 4 Void God Realm powerhouse by relying on his Tao of Sovereign. Moreover, it was barely enough. After successfully breaking through, Lu Ming continued forward, fighting with the lion-headed eagle beast to temper himself. In a flash, 1 year and 3 months had already passed since Lu Ming entered the Hurricane Passageway. And at this time, Yuan Luo Hall Master and the rest were still blocked by the second door and did not break the array. Hall Master, not good. At this time, an expert from Yuan Luo Hall came in to report. What is it? Yuan Luo Hall Master asked with a gloomy face. He was in a bad mood. He had been here for more than a year, but until now, he had not obtained anything. If this went on, it would be troublesome when Fu Heng could not hold the ancestor of technique back. Hall Master, the walkabout sect leader has brought people here. The expert from Yuan Luo Hall reported. That old man Situ, Yuan Luo Hall Master gritted his teeth. Brother Kang, you are too unkind. There is an expert's cave here and you want to take it for yourself without informing me. At this time, a cold voice sounded and a group of people rushed in. The leader was a skinny middle-aged man. This person was the walkabout sect leader, Situ Haonan. Brother Situ, you have misunderstood. There is a large array here. I originally wanted to break the array and inform you, Yuan Luo Hall Master said with a fake smile. Break the array and inform me? Situ Haonan sneered. Brother Kang, no matter how you put it, we're still allies. We joined hands to deal with the righteous army, and my walkabout sect helped you hold back quite a few of their experts. That's why you had the chance to occupy this immortal cave. So my walkabout sect also wants a share of this immortal cave. Brother Kang, do you have any objections? How much do you want? Yuan Luo Hall Master said. Half. The treasures inside, we will each take half. Situ Haonan said. Half. Yuan Luo Hall Master's face darkened and said, Brother Situ, your appetite is too big. Too big. Haha. Situ Haonan sneered and said, if I turn and leave now and attract Fa Ming, I'm afraid you won't even get half. Yuan Luo Hall Master's face turned ugly. Everything was for benefits. Yuan Luo Hall and the walkabout sect had only joined hands for benefits. Now that an expert's cave was in front of them, their relationship was no longer as friendly. He had no doubt that Situ Haonan would do anything if he refused. Chapter 26:16. The Yuan Luo Hall Master squeezed out a smile and said, Brother Situ must be joking. All right, half it is. However, the great formation here is very sturdy and difficult to break. Next, the experts of the walkabout sect will have to attack together, of course. Situ Haonan smiled. Immediately, the experts of the Yuan Luo Hall and the walkabout sect joined forces to attack the great formation. With the two of them working together, their speed increased greatly. It only took a month to break the great formation and open the door. Let's go. The experts from both sides rushed into the door, ready to plunder the treasures. But after entering, they were dumbfounded. It was clean and smooth, and there was nothing inside. They came to the place where Lu Ming took the pills. There were a few shelves here, but there was still nothing on the shelves. Completely empty. The Yuan Luo Hall Master's face was gloomy. His chest heaved up and down, and he almost vomited blood. Could it be that this cave dwelling was empty, and the master of the cave dwelling did not leave anything behind? It should not be. This was the cave dwelling of a heavenly god. Logically speaking, even if such a figure left, he would take away some valuable treasures, but he would still leave behind some unimportant items. They were not important to heavenly gods, but to them, they might be priceless treasures. But how could there be nothing? Search carefully. The Yuan Luo Hall Master roared. They searched inside and out, but they couldn't find a single strand of hair. Finally, they came to the depths of this area. There was a passage here blocked by an extremely powerful formation. There's more inside. Perhaps, the depths of the cave dwelling are inside. Perhaps, the treasures are inside. The Yuan Luo Hall Master and the others could not help but have such thoughts to comfort themselves. Then, They had no choice but to continue working hard and attack the Great Formation. However, the Great Formation here was even more astonishing. It was much stronger than the previous Great Formation. Even if the experts of the Walkabout sect joined forces, it would take a long time to break it open. Time passed quickly. It had already been 2 years since Lu Ming entered the Hurricane Passage. After continuous battles, Lu Ming improved very quickly. Unknowingly, his cultivation had reached the peak of a 6-star Heavenly Emperor. Lu Ming found another pit and began to break through to the next realm. In the end, he successfully broke through the realm, breaking through to 7-star Heavenly Emperor. Peak 7-star Heavenly Emperor, Lu Ming finally reached. The next step was to combine the 10,000 yuan into one and condense the Divine Flame. After condensing the Divine Flame, he would be able to break through to the Martial God Realm and enter the second step of cultivation. To the current Lu Ming, 10,000 elements returning to one and condensing Divine Fire was not particularly difficult. When Lu Ming arrived in the Your-Wilds universe, his minor world had already fused with the Your-Wilds universe, transforming it into pure world energy and sovereign power. Moreover, as Lu Ming's cultivation increased, the proportion of sovereign power in his body grew larger and larger. Currently, Lu Ming's sovereign power had reached 99%, and only 1% of his world energy remained. As long as he converted all the energy in his body into sovereign power, Lu Ming could start trying to combine all the origin powers and form the Divine Flame. This trip to the Immortals Cave helped Lu Ming save a lot of time. Continue. After the breakthrough, Lu Ming continued to move forward along the passage. Huff huff huff, rumble rumble rumble. This time, Lu Ming continued to move forward. Not only did he hear the terrifying whistling of the wind, but he also heard deafening collisions. Lu Ming continued to move forward and discovered that he had finally reached the end of the passage. At the end of the passage, there were a few passages that merged and converged. Each passage was filled with strong winds. When the winds from a few passages collided with each other, a shocking explosion could be heard. On top of that, the winds from a few passages had gathered in a larger passage, causing the wind in the passage to be shockingly strong. Lu Ming had a feeling that if he entered the passage, he would not be able to hold on for long before his body was torn apart by the wind. It seems like I have to stop here. I'm afraid I won't be able to enter the depths of the Immortals Cave. Lu Ming pondered. There's a cave here. Suddenly, Lu Ming discovered a pitch-black cave on the side of the wall. Lu Ming climbed along the wall and looked into the cave. He discovered that the cave was pitch-black and bottomless. Lu Ming had not discovered a similar cave along the way. Where did this cave lead to? Lu Ming was extremely curious. After pondering for a moment, Lu Ming decided to take a look. Lu Ming circulated his sovereign power and his eyes glowed. He could see the pitch-black cave with a single glance. Lu Ming entered the cave. There was no wind in the cave. Lu Ming carefully moved forward along the cave. After several thousand meters, he reached the end of the cave. Then, Lu Ming discovered that he had arrived on a large platform. The platform was extremely wide. On one side of the platform, the whistling of the wind could be heard. Lu Ming walked over to take a look. In the direction of the platform, there was a hurricane passage. The wind there was extremely terrifying. It was many times stronger than what Lu Ming had encountered before. Lu Ming's expression was grave. He did not dare to approach the hurricane passage. He stayed away from the hurricane passage and looked at the other parts of the platform. On the other side of the platform, there was a stone door. Lu Ming pushed the door open and entered. He discovered that it was a passage. There were rooms on both sides of the passage. Oh, could these be bedrooms? Lu Ming discovered that there were stone tables and stone beds in these rooms. However, they were very ordinary and did not contain any treasures. The next few rooms had ordinary stone tables and beds. There was nothing valuable about them. When Lu Ming came to the last room, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. There were some shelves in this room. On top of them were various weapons. Lu Ming's heart began to beat rapidly. He picked up a battle sword and inserted his sovereign power. Buzz! The battle sword began to glow. A powerful aura spread out. This This is a rank 9 lower grade divine artifact. Lu Ming's breathing quickened. His eyes were burning. This was definitely a rank 9 lower grade divine artifact. One must know that the meteor spear that Lu Ming bought was only a rank 6 lower grade divine artifact. Even so, it was worth 7,000 divine crystals. A rank 9 lower grade divine artifact's price would be many times higher. It would be normal to sell it for 70,000 to 80,000 divine crystals or even 100,000 divine crystals. There are words below. Lu Ming discovered that there was a small plaque hanging on the hilt of this sword. There were words written on it. Ancient Moon Sword, rank 9 lower grade divine artifact. On the plaque, there was a line of words. It really is a rank 9 lower grade divine artifact. Lu Ming laughed and quickly put it away. He then looked at the other weapons. Clearwind Hook, rank 9 lower grade divine artifact. Lihi Saber, rank 8 lower grade divine artifact. Lu Ming looked at 6 or 7 weapons. They were all rank 7 lower grade divine artifacts and above. I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, Lu Ming muttered to himself. This time, he really struck it rich. Lu Ming did not expect that after passing through the Hurricane Passage, he would gain so much. 6 War Staff, rank 1 middle grade divine artifact. When Lu Ming picked up a long rod and took a look, his eyes lit up immediately. Chapter 26:17. There were even medial grade divine artifacts here. A middle grade divine artifact was equivalent to a true god expert. Only a true god expert could unleash the full power of a middle grade divine artifact. Lu Ming's eyes burned even brighter. He put away the staff and sped up his search. Medial grade divine artifacts, medial grade divine artifacts, medial grade divine artifacts. A moment later, Lu Ming put away all the weapons here. There were a total of 33 divine artifacts. All of them were low-grade divine artifacts or above. Any one of them was better than the meteor spear he was currently using. Among them, there were 20 low-grade divine artifacts. There were a total of 13 medial-grade divine artifacts. There were even 2 divine artifacts, the highest of which were mid-grade divine artifacts. One was a battle sword, and the other was a battle saber. How many divine crystals could a mid-grade divine artifact be sold for? Lu Ming couldn't estimate at all. Even factions like the Righteous Army, Yuan Luo Palace, and the Walkabout sect couldn't take out divine artifacts of this level. They were too precious. Lu Ming had no idea how many divine crystals these 33 divine artifacts were worth. In short, he knew that he had struck it rich. He wouldn't have to worry about resources for a period of time. His disciples, family, friends, and members of the Dragon Alliance wouldn't have to worry about resources either. I can exchange for the meteor spear now. Lu Ming was all smiles. There were several spears among the 33 divine artifacts. The highest grade was a mid-grade divine artifact of 4th grade. There was also a low-grade divine artifact of 8th grade and 9th grade. Lu Ming picked up a low-grade divine artifact and swung it a few times. He felt that it was quite good. After taking all the divine artifacts, Lu Ming wandered around a bit. After confirming that there were no more treasures here, Lu Ming left. Forward. With my cultivation, I can't go in. I can go back now. Lu Ming was satisfied. Then, he went through the cave and returned to the Hurricane Passage. Then, he followed the original path and climbed up the rocks to return. Going back was against the wind, so it was extremely difficult. However, Lu Ming had already killed all of the lion-headed eagle beasts in this Hurricane Passage. When he returned, there were no lion-headed eagle beasts blocking his way. Moreover, Lu Ming's cultivation had increased by another level, so his speed was still very fast. Even though they were traveling against the wind, their speed was still much faster than when they had arrived. After Lu Ming had crawled back for some time, the people from the Yuan Luo Hall and the Walkabout sect finally opened the array formation of the passageway. They hurried through the passageway. At the end of this passage was the place where Lu Ming had obtained a large number of divine artifacts. After that, the Hall Master of the Yuan Luo Hall, Sichu Haonan, and the others discovered that this place was still empty. Other than some stone stools and tables, there was nothing else. What happened? Yuan Luo Hall Master roared. He could no longer control his temper. After a lot of hard work, he found that there was nothing here. If he knew that Lu Ming had already reached this place, he would probably vomit blood from anger. Everyone's expression was extremely ugly. Then, when they discovered the Hurricane Passage, their expressions became even uglier. The Hurricane Passage here was already the convergence of several passages. Its power was astonishing. Even the Hall Master of the Yuan Luo Hall was wary of it. This should be a blockade set up by the Cave Master. Could it be that the true inner cave is in the depths of these hurricane passages? They guessed. However, for a moment, they were hesitant. Usually, such a place would be accompanied by danger. Let's observe for a few days before making a decision, Yuan Luo Hall Master said. In the sky above the headquarters of the Zhengtian army, the ancestor of techniques and Fu Heng had been playing chess for more than 2 years. And now, it was already the final moment. Break. The ancestor of techniques waved his hand and a giant chess piece was formed and placed on the chessboard. Fu Heng's expression changed. With a wave of his hand, a powerful force surged towards the ancestor of techniques, preventing him from placing the chess piece. Boom. Boom. The two of them continued to exchange blows. In the past 2 years, the two of them had exchanged blows countless times. After a dozen moves, boom. In the end, the ancestor of technique's chess piece still landed on the chessboard. You've lost. The ancestor of techniques looked at Fu Heng. Brother Fa is indeed amazing. This old man is impressed. The game is over, and this old man has fulfilled his promise. Brother Fa, please don't blame me. Let's go. With a wave of his sleeve, Fu Heng soared into the sky and a starship appeared. He boarded the starship and left the Zhengtian planet. Northern Shong planet. As soon as Fu Heng left, the ancestor of techniques immediately went to the Northern Shong planet. After arriving at the Seven Stars Island, he immediately rushed to the Chen Gold Mine and met up with the Zhengtian army 100,000 miles away from the Chen Gold Island. The army lord is here. Army lord. The Zhengtian army immediately bowed to the ancestor of techniques. What's the situation in the Yuan Luo Hall these past 2 years? The ancestor of techniques asked. Army lord, the Yuan Luo Hall Master and the Walkabout Sect Master have been in the cave abodes of the experts for the past 2 years. Someone reported. That old fox Situ Haonan is also here. A sharp light flashed through the ancestor of techniques' eyes as he ordered, wait for me here. I'll go check it out myself. Then, the ancestor of techniques turned into a ray of light and shot towards Chen Jinquang. It's the Zhengtian army's army lord Fa Ming. Inform the hall masters. As soon as the ancestor of techniques arrived, the Yuan Luo Hall and the Walkabout sect immediately noticed him. Under the lead of a few true God Realm experts, they became cautious and sent a message to the Yuan Luo Hall Master. The Yuan Luo Hall Master and Situ Haonan received the message at the same time. Fa Ming dares to come alone? Fine, we'll make him stay today. A cold light flashed through the Yuan Luo Hall Master's eyes. After spending a few years and not getting anything, he was filled with anger. Fine. After we get rid of Fa Ming, we'll split the Zhengtian army's territory. Situ Haonan said coldly. Old Mo, hide in the dark. Fa Ming might think that you're still guarding the headquarters. Later, Brother Situ and I will fight with Fa Ming. Then, you sneak attack Fa Ming. The Yuan Luo Hall Master ordered. The Yuan Luo Hall Master was wary of the ancestor of techniques. He and Mo Khan were both at the 4th level True God Realm, while the ancestor of techniques was only at the 3rd level True God Realm. However, the ancestor of techniques was extremely strong. He could fight against the two of them alone. Even with Situ Haonan, they weren't confident that they could make the ancestor of techniques stay in a direct battle. If the ancestor of techniques wanted to leave, they couldn't stop him. Only a sneak attack could make the ancestor of techniques stay. Don't worry. The Grand Elder of the Walkabout sect is also hiding near Chen Jinquang's vein. He can also sneak attack when the time comes. Today, we must make Fa Ming stay. Situ Haonan said coldly. The Yuan Luo Hall master's heart trembled as he secretly called Sichu Haonan an old fox. Sichu Haonan had asked the Grand Elder of the Walkabout sect to hide in the dark. It was most likely to guard against the Yuan Luo Hall. Fine. Today, we'll make sure that Fa Ming doesn't return, the Yuan Luo Hall master said coldly. The group of people headed outside. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.